With the world at war, sporting arms weren't selling, and more importantly, the demand for military arms was nearly limitless. Many commercial manufacturers would turn to support the war industry, and we'll see plenty of gun makers expanding rapidly in this period. This includes the sporting rifle and shotgun concern Becker and Hollander. Hi, I'm Othais, and this is the Becker and Hollander Beholla pistol. It's a little small, so let's get into the light box so you can actually see the thing. At a length of only 5.5 inches, it's rather surprising that this gun still weighs in at 1.4 pounds unloaded. It has a magazine capacity of 7 rounds and chambers the 32 ACP cartridge. While we've seen this cartridge before, and we're going to see it again, I'm going to tell you now, you're only going to get a peek at it until we get around to the Browning 1900 that introduced it. Now, we're calling this the Beholla, but honestly, that's up for debate. There's a lot of controversy around just where this little pistol came from. The reason we refer to it as the Becker and Hollander Beholla is because Becker and Hollander would be the largest manufacturer of this pistol during World War I, or really ever. So, the name sort of sticks, it's just how we identify it. But if we're going to talk about just where it came from, let's look at its most likely parent. This is the Little Tom by Alois Tomiska. It was a pocket pistol with several unique qualities. It featured a double-action trigger and top-loading magazine. Interestingly, many features of this gun were patented before the outbreak of World War I, but it was not popular until after. If you're curious about this gun, a friend of the show, Life Size Potato, actually has a video on YouTube that shows a lot of its unique features. We'll put a link down in the comments. If we take a closer look at the Beholla, we'll actually see that it resembles the Little Tom. It's overall very compact, it shares the same sort of profile, it has an open top slide, it has a barrel fitted in the same way, but this gun is actually a fair simplification of the Little Tom in that it's a single action striker fire, and if we take a look real quick, we can see, let me lock her open, we can see that our firing pin is acting as our ejector, so, you know, not just the high point people, this goes back a long way. Alright, while I have the gun right here, let me go ahead and do a quick field trip because everybody's been asking for these. Unique to this pistol, though, is that we have to drift out a pin in order to get into it. So you wouldn't actually want to field strip this gun. It's a small part you'll see in just a moment. Alright, so, like we were saying, we have a pin to drift out. So we'll take a punch and we'll place it in the right side and pop her out. This takes a little bit of poking, and you gotta make sure you capture it so you don't lose it, because it is quite small with my dumb fingers. Alright, now I'll use the safety to lock open the slide. You can see it on this side. And then I'm going to push back on that barrel. Oop, magazine out would help. Push back on that barrel and lift her out. There we go. Now retain the slide, release it forward. This is important and it's hard to show on camera, but I'm going to try to cover this striker and spring because it's going to try to fly. So I just want to make sure that I get that spring out safely. There we go. Release that slide forward. There's our recoil spring, our slide, our frame. All this is what came out over there. Should be good to go now. So that's a field strip. The problem with that, obviously, is that you have one spring that wants to go flying, and you have a very tiny pin that you need to keep control of. Also, just for anybody's information, that little guy right there came from messing around with this thing. The firing pin projecting when trying to reassemble, I slipped the slide and it gave me a good poke. So that firing pin's not my best friend in the world. Alright, while I reassemble this pistol, let me go through a couple of things with you, which is that we're not 100% sure of who invented it at this moment. If somebody knows a better resource than I have, great, let me know. I've seen claims from all three of the major manufacturers. I have a theory though, and we'll get to it in just a moment, but let's just go down the line of who produced this pistol and how. Becker and Hollander were sporting rifle and shotgun manufacturers before the war. While they very well could have designed a pistol of this nature, it seems to have been an unlikely pairing. They would produce nearly all of the Beholla pistols for the war effort, roughly 40,000. They can be found with either hard rubber or wood grips. These were offered for sale by the German army arsenal for 41 marks. Becker and Hollander would be bought out by Stenda after the war, ending the Beholla name. August Menz also produced the gun during the war, albeit in very small numbers, perhaps only a few hundred. Menz remained in pistol manufacturing post-war, and many of his designs favor Little Tom features. To us, he is the most likely candidate for the actual creation of this pistol. Under Menz production, it was branded the Menta, and would be produced until 1927. During the war, the Menta was a deal at 35 marks. Post-war, Stenda Work purchased Becker and Hollander, and so the Beholla became the Stenda from 1918 until production ended in 1925. This pistol is unique in that they added a takedown lever. Perhaps rarest of the variants is the Leonhardt, made by H.M. Goering. This model has been a point of confusion as it appears to be their only pistol model produced. It would imply it was made for wartime use, but no German acceptance marked models have ever been noted. Additionally, a post-war advertisement for their sale has been found. Perhaps the factory geared up before the armistice and was left holding a new product? Alright, let's just get a look inside this thing. We're dealing with a fairly simple pistol here. It's blowback single-action striker fired. Note the unique sear setup though. The trigger bar pushes down an arm which tilts the sear, creating a smooth break. The safety simply blocks that sear arm from dropping, which locks up the sear. Also note the disconnector, resetting the action. That's about it really, not much else unique on this one. So we'll finish out the mag and hand it over to Mae.
Let's load up our 7-round magazine. Take aim and pew. The left side safety is pretty simple. A few more. And let's see how I did. All right, nerd alert.
I hate to say it, but service life for the Beholla isn't very interesting. With about 40,000 made for the war effort, that really ended their use. And again, even then, these are rear line pistols. They don't even have the same capacity of 32 ACP as the other ones do. But they're really compact and handy, and they stay out of your way if you're not actually on the front line, which is a lot of what officers wanted in those days. Now, after the war, Germany kind of had to fish through their inventory and pick the best of the best because they weren't allowed to keep everything. And these guys kind of got kicked out. You don't see a lot of them with post-war police markings and things like that, although I'm sure there are exceptions. So they sort of go in the civilian market. They're fairly common to find out there, despite their low numbers. And they're nice little pistols. They're unremarkable in a lot of ways. So, unfortunately, there's not a big, deep story to this gun. However, we thought it was worth an episode because there is so little written about them and they're so poorly recognized. To be honest with you, they're fascinating just in the fact that they're so dang small and so dang heavy. They're fantastic to shoot, given their size. However, like we said, there's some other things that fit a little bit better in your hand than this. Especially for someone like me, where I'm lucky to get 3 fingers on the thing. But I'm not our designated markswoman, so let's go ahead and get Mae's opinion on this pistol. Alright, we made room for Mae once again, and she's sort of our field reporter on this, so let's get her opinion of shooting the Beholla. Now, will you start us off on the handling?
Sure. So, even just now when you passed it to me, it instantly came back of how dense and heavy this gun is for how small it is. Compared to the other 32s that I've shot in the past that have an inch or two on this little guy, this one weighs just as much, which is insane to me. And notice, by the way, I'm having to hold my little teacup grip when actually handling this. I can't actually get all fingers on this gun comfortably. As far as actual function handling, the slide is a bit heavy to pull back, but it was still pretty smooth. It's got heel release for the mag, which everyone knows I don't like, but this one's actually really easy to handle. Like, I could probably do this heel release all day and my thumb would never get tired. The safety, easy to one hand, pretty simple. Overall, while I'm not a fan of this teacup grip that I've got to have, it's not a bad handle for a 32.
Yeah, you know, it's a tiny gun, but it's fairly well thought out. I mean, this is not sort of a slap together, and it certainly feels pretty polished. While you were shooting it, did you happen to notice any problems with functioning having to do with that firing pin acting as an ejector, by the way? Because there is no ejector in this gun, like we said. The firing pin acts as the ejector.
You know, we had a couple of failure to feeds on this gun, but we didn't have any failure to eject, so that obviously that wasn't the problem there for us.
All right, now this gun has a unique trigger, so I want to get your perspective on it. Remember from our animation, where the sear is being tilted by an internal arm that's connected to the trigger bar. How did that play out for you actually shooting the gun?
As far as the trigger goes in this one, it was as smooth as a 1914. It was like glass the entire way through, and I couldn't even tell when it was about to break. However, it was as heavy as a double-action revolver, but I actually tend to like heavier triggers. That is my thing. So for me, this was one of the nicest triggers I've ever handled.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. There's no grit, there's no lope, there's no hang-up. It's smooth, but it is heavy. I mean, it is... I'm not saying like 12 pounds heavy, but, you know, for these little 32s that we've been shooting, we expect, you know, like, geez, like 4 pounds maybe. And this thing is closing on 7 or 8. I'm not sure. I'm not great at these things. We should probably take a measurement, but we're not quite that active. The point being, though, is it is a firm, almost no take-up, smooth pull all the way through, and then it pops, which is fine for shooting, but you got to put a little muscle behind it. All right, the rest of the thing, recoil, sights, how'd it go for you?
So for the recoil, I thought it was a little bit snappy, but honestly, I think the weight was what saved it on this one. It brought it down a little bit for me, but other than that, it was nice. It was okay. It was manageable. The sights, as far as this gun goes, they're short but easy to read. I don't think I drilled a hole with this one like perfect, but I was still fairly accurate with it.
Yeah, that shorter length is going to give you a poorer sight radius. So, I mean, you can stay on paper fine. You can even start to group well if you practice with it, but it's not as natural as some of the longer barreled pistols we've shot. And I would agree. I felt like, to me, it was a little snappier than some of the other 32s, but not as bad as I expected. Anything else? Final thoughts? Would you take it into battle, I guess? That's our big question, right?
Actually, I would not take this one to the battle. There were enough little things about it that I just didn't feel comfortable with it. Like I mentioned before, I don't have a full finger grip. It's got a heel mag release, limited capacity. The short barrel on it, I wasn't nearly as accurate with like we mentioned before. So, no, actually, this was not one of my favorite guns that we've shot, and I would not take it into battle. I don't think I'd be as accurate with it.
Would you say that it's sort of a good commercial pocket pistol for the time, but a bad battlefield pistol?
Exactly, yeah. I just felt that it would not hold up the standards in battle that the others that we have shot so far would.
To be fair, honestly, most of the users of the Beholla were probably not using it for real defense. It honestly is just one of those pistols that ends up being an icon of rank, and it's convenient and out of the way. It fares pretty well against other 32 ACP pistols that are in that sort of, you know, ultra compact category of the time. But I can't see any enthusiasm for running into war with one of these. All right, well, I guess that wraps up the Beholla. So go ahead and leave any comments below that you might have about this. Let us know your questions. And as always, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Just another late night catch up. I'm actually still editing the Beholla right now, but I thought I'd get ahead. Patreon, I believe, is at $7.65 as I'm recording this. And important to that, past couple weeks I've been seeing a lot of $1 and $5 donations coming through. I actually really like seeing those. We currently have over 7,000 subscribers. If they were to give $1 each the show would be a massive success. I'd be able to bring in some extra help, and we'd have a lot more to show you. So that $1, if you haven't given it, it really helps. And if you don't feel like giving it, that's fine too. I really don't mean to build any guilt there. On top of that, I need to thank, very personally, Dr. Evans for providing a number of 32 ACPs, which include today's Beholla. It's great to have people from across the nation sending us things that we can use to film because it saves us money and it gives us a chance to really interact and share with the collectors. In addition to that, I need to point out that this episode featured a new little song segment during the shooting portion. That was provided again by the recently married The Moon and You. We are huge fans and we are so thankful for their support as well. Last thing, let me think here. I need to kind of apologize for this being sort of a light episode, and to go ahead and inform you that next 2 weeks is going to be a light episode as well. This is done very much on purpose. I'm sorry if it represents kind of a lull for your interest, but we are going to be restructuring our schedule here because right now it's sort of ad hoc, and I keep having to break down the equipment and rebuild it to film one thing at a time, and I've realized how much of a waste it is. I think I'm burning like 60 hours a week on this when I really don't need to be. Instead, I'm going to start bulk recording everything that I possibly can, not just the filming outdoors. So, while it might be a little disjointed, it's going to mean that we can really get ahead on filming. We won't be missing any deadlines, not that we have so far, but by the skin of our teeth. And it'll give me more time to do side projects. Those of you that are $5 and $10 Patreons probably have noticed that I've fallen behind on the behind-the-scenes footage and Bug of the Month. I promise to catch up, and I'm so sorry. The flood put us real far behind on top of already trying to catch up. The new schedule should permit me about 4 days out of the month that I can really just work on doing the extra sideline stuff. All right, thank you all again for your support, and we're really glad to have you. Till next time.